Good evening. Happy Monday night. I hope you guys had a good day at school today. Your homework tonight is you're going to be starting to learn about direct and indirect objects. These are also subject complements, but they are different from predicate adjectives and predicate nouns because they follow an action verb, not a linking verb. So it is super important that you know the difference between your action verbs and your linking verbs. Otherwise, you're never going to get these right. Oh, I can't make it go. There we go. For tonight's lesson, you are going to be making a 2-flap horizontal foldable. So put the holes on the correct side on the left side and then fold it over and make it 2 flaps. Label the notes listed below. These are subject complements that follow an action verb. Label the left side direct object and the right side indirect object. You're only filling out the direct object side today, so wow, how easy can your homework get? Pretty nice of me, isn't it? Pause if you need to, and then move on when you're ready. All right, so at the very top of your notes on your direct object, on the top part of the flap, you need to write these 2 things. Number 1, you need to write a direct object is a word or a group of words that names the receiver of the action. Underneath that, you need to write a direct object answers the questions whom or what. You do not need to write either of the examples. So take a minute and write those, and then we'll talk about the examples. Okay, the first example is Jack climbed the beanstalk. Well, what did Jack climb? He climbed the beanstalk. Therefore, beanstalk is your direct object. The second example, the giant's wife protected Jack. Who did the giant's wife protect? Jack. Jack is your direct object. Moving right along. And you don't have to take any notes on this slide, so just sit back, listen, and relax. In order to find the direct object, there are 2 questions you must always, always, always ask. I don't get to say always that much, do I? Number 1, does the sentence have an action verb? If there is no action verb, there is no direct object. That's what I just said, right? Number 2, who or what receives the action of the verb? So there's not always a direct object, even if there is an action verb, but a lot of times there is. That answer will give you the direct object. Now you do need to, oh, no, you're not taking notes yet. Here's an example. Mrs. Clark dunked the basketball. Well, we know this is a fictional piece of writing. We're just going to use it for the example. What is the action verb? Well, the action verb is dunked. Maybe I did. Maybe it was a really small basket. That's probably the only case that I could ever dunk a basketball. But dunked is an action verb. So what did Mrs. Clark dunk? Well, I dunked a basketball. Therefore, basketball is the direct object. See, there it is. We know it's not true, but it was a great example, right? So now you actually need to write again. So open your flap, and I want these on the bottom part. So you've got your top part with what a direct object is, and your bottom part's going to have the steps. These steps should look really familiar because you wrote them when we were talking about subject complements, or predicate adjectives and predicate nouns. We're still talking about subject complements. Number 1, read the sentence. Number 2, put parentheses around all the prepositional phrases. There is never, ever, 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 never a direct object in the prepositional phrase. Number 3, find and underline the verb. Number 4, determine if it is an action verb or a linking verb. I'm probably going to be really nice to you all this week and give you all action verbs, but next week I'm going to mix them up just to drive you all crazy. A direct object can only follow an action verb, and then ask who or what receives the action. Pause the tape and get these steps written down. I'm not going to make you write the examples down, so just write the steps down. Great. So here's an example. Direct objects. There's a nice, lovely picture of my husband because this example is about him. He was cutting up tofu. Yum, tofu. Doesn't that sound good? I met Mr. Clark in the office. Well, first you find all the prepositional phrases. In the office is the prepositional phrase. Hopefully he was carrying a cup of coffee to Mrs. Clark. Then you underline the verb. Well, the verb is met, and met is indeed an action verb. So who or what did I meet? Well, Mr. Clark. So in this case, Mr. Clark is the direct object. Now it's time to say goodbye to Mr. Clark. And you didn't have to write this down at all. You're just listening again. So let's see what you do. Let's see how you can do these. It says to write the following sentences in your notes, but I don't think you have room for them, so don't worry about it. Just think them through. Number 1, the baseball player in the field caught the ball. Go through the steps. Prepositional phrase, verb, What did the verb do? Think them all through. I'm going to explain them to you in just a minute. And if you listen closely, you'll have a surprise slide at the end. All right, so number 1, the baseball player in the field caught the ball. In the field is your prep phrase. Caught is your verb. It is an action verb. What did the baseball player catch? Oh, he caught the ball. Ball is your direct object. Kirby ate the millet during first period. All right, during first period is your prepositional phrase. You know there's nothing of importance in there. Ate is your verb. Ate is definitely an action verb. And what did he eat? He ate the millet, which is your prepositional phrase, or excuse me, your direct object. The giant pink monkey hugged the little boy in Target. Your prepositional phrase is in Target. Your verb is hugged. That is an action verb. You can hug someone. Who did the giant pink monkey hug? Oh, the little boy. And number 4, the teenager wore a bizarre Halloween costume to the party. To the party is your prepositional phrase. Your verb is wore. It is an action verb. You can wear something. And what did he wear? A costume. See how easy that is? And just as a reward for doing so well, here's a great picture of the last 2 sentences. And can you guess who is in the costume? These are what your final notes should look like after this lesson. You will be taking the indirect object notes on Wednesday. Have a fabulous night. I cannot wait to talk about direct objects with you tomorrow in class.